Welcome everyone to another week of the Focus TV. We got Octavia Wyatt here, Raymond Lyons. I'm Wilson Tarpe Jr. and we'll have Cardell joining us a little bit later from the because it's WNBA opening week. We're gonna get to we're gonna touch on that in just a little bit because I want to hear what you guys got some questions for y'all. Also NBA playoffs. We're gonna talk about the Wizards a little bit later, landing a top 5 pick, and interesting to see. We get to see what they're gonna end up doing with it. So you guys think about it a little bit. So you got your answers ready for later. But we're going to jump into the NBA playoffs. That's what we've been doing. We're going to second round. Look, we said this week that a lot changed by the next time we spoke to these good people. And it looks like that, in fact, has happened. We're 2-2 out in the West between the Thunder and Mavs. It's tied at 2 in the Connolly Classic. The Nuggets was like, nah, not like that. Not going. They responded. Shout out to Aaron Gordon. Then in the East, Donovan Mitchell missed game 4 of that series, and the Celtics won. They are now up 3-1. And the Pacers and the Knicks, that series shifted too. They got back to Indiana, and Holly out there talking crazy. Obi Toppin looking at the rim twice and then dunking it. It's getting interesting. So we're gonna start. We'll start out East. Ray, we'll start with you, then Octavia. What do you think about Boston? Cleveland? I know everyone, for the most part, you guys have continued to say Boston's very unserious, and I think they had one of those games already. So, your thoughts on the series already?
Just them continuing to play with their food should be over. Being perfectly honest, man, and I'm gonna keep saying it, man. That's what concerns me in regards to them, finishing the job. The deeper you get into the playoffs, the more you're going to have to put these teams away. Everybody's not going to be an injury-riddled Miami Heat team or a Cavs team missing some key guys. Like, you're going to have to put your foot on somebody's neck at some point, man. Like, sometimes just being a better team ain't enough. And I've yet to see Boston, kick it into that gear. Yeah, man, the same thing that's kind of been plaguing them all season. They just get too reliant on 3-point shooting sometimes. And that, those dead possessions allow teams to stick around a little longer than they should. Yeah, man. They just got to get out of that mode, man, and get into championship mode, to be perfectly honest. The talent isn't the question. They're talented enough to win this whole thing. It's just a matter of putting it together at the right time. And yeah, they've yet to do that. I mean, this might end up being a gentleman's sweep, but why beat a team in 5 when you could beat them in 4? Like, just get rid of them, rest up, get ready for the next series. But yeah, man, I hope they can get it together and get over that mountaintop, because they've been to the finals before. If they go ahead and finish this series, it'll be their 6th conference finals in 8 years, I believe. So I mean, they're getting their opportunities, man. They just got to figure out a way to punch through the wall.
Octavia.
Yeah, completely same. We've seen it the last couple of years. And I feel like most people think that this team, that is as it's currently constructed, shouldn't still be having the same issues of the previous Celtics teams that were previously constructed. It's unfortunate, but it's honestly, and when I say this, it's unfortunate that it's honestly just normal for them to give one up during a series. It's sad that you kind of just see that coming. I mean, they lost the one game, and granted, don't get me wrong, Cleveland played really well that game, but even last night was unacceptable, even in a win, with no Donovan Mitchell, no Jared Allen, no, it was somebody else, but I can't remember. I mean, you got Dean Wade out there who did go off on them during the one game that they beat them in this series during the actual season. I mean, Merrill, Darius Garland finally had I would say a good game. I think he had 30 points, but it was on like 20 plus shots. So he wasn't that efficient when it came down to it. And I mean, as much as people are talking about it, and I'm sure Jason Tatum doesn't want to hear it, but he has to. He's not shooting well. I think they said in the entire playoffs, he's only had one game where he shot more than 50% from the field. Jaylen Brown is, I mean, Jaylen Brown is showing that, yeah, I mean, I know I make 300 mil a year. I mean, I got a 300 mil contract, so I'm gonna be out here and show y'all, what's good. And he has been, and like Ray said, they need to stop playing around. They need to get as much rest as they can. They need to get as much rest as they can so they can get Kristaps Porzingis back. But I do think that this period of time without him has still been good for them. So Kristaps can get some rest. Because whoever they play in the next round, they're gonna need him to a certain extent. I'm hoping they don't need him, but you don't want to be in a situation where you have no choice but to put him in, and he might not be 100% where you can possibly let him rest a little bit longer, because we know whoever they play in the West is going to be a beast if they get out of the Eastern Finals. So it's imperative that they stop playing around, especially with the fact that, in the first couple of games, or in the first series, and in the first couple of games of this series, Derek White has picked up a lot of the slack of the points that are missing from Porzingis, but he's gone a little bit cold in these last two games. So without him giving that extra support that he was given, it was okay then when Jason wasn't shooting that well. But if Derek's not doing it, Jason has to do it. Those other times he was able to, maybe take his foot off the gas as far as trying to push the narrative of, score, score, score. He does a lot of other things for the team as far as distribute and play. I mean, they all play very, very good defense, although they have lapses where they take, possessions off and don't play good defense. But it should be over after tomorrow. These calf strains are killing the NBA this year. I don't know what's going on with calves. Everybody needs to grow a new one because it's ridiculous. I'm like, goodness gracious, somebody else got a calf strain? Jesus. I don't know what's going on. Everybody needs to do some toe raises, get the calves up a little bit. But if I think I know Donovan Mitchell, like I think I know Donovan Mitchell, if he can play, he's going to play. Even if he's 60%, 70%, he's not going to want to go out like that. So if he does play, knowing that he's not 100%, they got to take it to him. The series should be over tomorrow night. If it's not, we're going to have a lot of questions.
Yeah, and they just refuse to answer questions. Almost like the football team I root for. They keep making runs and just not finishing the thing, and questions after questions. It's tough when it's like that. A whole bunch of questions pile up. We start looking at you crazy, Jason and Jalen. So we'll see. All right, Pacers Knicks. This series completely turned left. It looks like it's all Pacers everything right now. Octavia and Ray.
Yeah. I know the big conversation with this series is, well, the Knicks players are playing so many minutes. The Pacers have the fastest pace in the league. And I mean, what do you expect? And at this point, I get it because it's a Tom Thibodeau coach team. They've been playing like this all year. We get it. But at this point, they don't have a choice with all of the injuries that they've also sustained with, of course, losing Julius Randle. Losing OG Anunoby in this series has hurt them greatly. Also missing Mitchell Robinson in this series has hurt them greatly. They have, they're depending on Alec Burke to come in and give them a spark off of the bench. They're, depending on Deuce McBride, and Jalen Brunson, as great as a player as he is and as he has been this entire season, I'm sorry, they're tired. They are exhausted, and you can spin it however you want to spin it, that they don't have a choice, that they have to play. That's fine, because that's the situation that they're in now. But earlier in the season, maybe they had some opportunities where they could have got Alec Burke in a little bit more. Maybe he would be more prepared in a situation like this, and some other players to get some more reps during the season. But again, we know it's a Tom Thibodeau coach team. This is how he plays. So there's nothing you can do about it now. But they are exhausted. And Tom Thibodeau's not helping the situation with the current state that it was in the last game. I mean, they were getting annihilated in the first quarter, and like the first 3 minutes, I was like, what is happening? And I was just looking at my watch like, well, when is Tim going to call a timeout? And I kept looking and I kept looking, and it didn't come until I think it was like a minute left in the first quarter. And I'm like, what took you so long? They are exhausted. They are dying out there. So to me, it's situations like that. Yeah, you can't help that they got to play a lot of minutes. But even in the third quarter, they're down by 30. They're down by 30 in the third. Take it out and start over, bro. Let them get some rest from this game because it's not going to happen. And, take the L, especially because it wasn't like they were losing the lead in the series. Granted, it was going to be tied up. They were going to go back home. They're playing tonight. I think they're playing now. So I just think better decisions need to be made on that aspect. But yeah, they got to do what they got to do. The Pacers are surprisingly in the last game playing very, very good defense, which they're not known for. So that was an eye-opening experience in that last game. But they couldn't miss. I mean, they were hitting on all cylinders. And like I said, the Knicks just couldn't keep up. Now, I don't think the series is over. It's going to really predicate for the Knicks on health and stamina. If they have the health and the stamina to do it, they can. We know how Madison Square Garden can be in situations. The Knicks are already planning their championship parade right now, so they're on 1,000. But yeah, I mean, Tyrese Halliburton, like, okay, yeah. And I feel like the Pacers kind of in this series are the same way they were in the last series. It took a little bit of time for them to get going. It took a little time for them to, kind of settle in. And we talked about in the last series, Rick Carlisle, he's good at these adjustments. The adjustment of putting Neesmith on Brunson has helped a lot. And, I think there was a crazy stat that said that Brunson is like, his elevation from his shots are like 2 inches lower than it's been throughout the entire season. So he has no legs under him. We know he has ankle issues in this series as well. So it's a tough series for them. Josh Hart is playing damn near the entire game. DiVincenzo has to play damn near the entire game. Brunson has to play damn near the entire game. So whenever they can get an opportunity to get some rest, they need to. I think after this game, they don't play again until Friday, so they'll have a little bit of a longer period of time to get some rest. But you don't know if that's going to help or harm in this situation. Is it going to be too much where they're going to lose any type of rhythm? A lot of times when you stay off of those sore bones, they get a lot stiff. And coming back is going to be even harder. It might be easier for them to have a shorter turnaround to keep their body a little bit more agile and fresh to a certain extent. But tonight I think is going to be a good depiction of how the series is going to go. If the Pacers can pull one out here, it's going to be danger time for the Knicks. So they definitely have to come into this game ready to go, ready to bounce back, which I think we all believe that they can. But it's at this point I got to see it because those last 2 games in Indiana, they weren't the team that we've seen all year.
Ray, your thoughts on that old school 90s rivalry that's sometimes physical these days and sometimes not, depending on the officiating.
Facts.
Tyrese Halliburton woke up. And that changes the dynamic of everything for the Pacers. He actually remembered that there's a basket that he can shoot the ball into. And that's just kind of it's kind of opened up their offenses to where it was, starting the season when they were just running everybody out the gym. And like Octavia pointed out, that fast pace on those tired overworked legs for the Knicks, it is showing up. And they got to figure out a way around that. I don't know what that answer is at this point in the season, but yeah, that's going to be a problem, man. They're going to have to find a way to keep them out of transition. We know they're a scrappy defensive team, but you can try all you want, but when the body tells you it can't do something, there's a second slower those 50-50 balls. They uncharacteristically haven't been dominating on the boards like they have, and that's been paying dividends for Indiana the last couple games. So yeah, man, the Knicks might be in a little bit of trouble. and even should they get out of this series, just looking beyond, it's only going to get worse. So yeah, that's the drawback of how Tibbs you know approaches his coaching style. It's cool that that guys are up to the challenge of playing those heavy minutes, but it catches up to you at some point, man. They're human. Um, and when it catches up, it's nothing you can do about it. It's not like having an off shooting night. Eventually, the ball goes back in the basket. Once that energy bar depletes, it's depleted. So yeah, they got to find a way to slow the game down and keep things in the half court on both ends. I think if they can do that, they'll be all right. When they could be a little more methodical, that's where Jalen Brunson's at his best. But yeah, other than that, it's a toss up, and and it's dangerous. They were up 2-0, and now they're in a dogfight. With weary bodies and injuries. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this one shakes out.
Yeah, and on the plus side, it's great that Tibbs found like the Villanova boys are definitely the type of players Tibbs wants. Regardless of what happens with even the Knicks front office, you just need more of them, honestly. Like everyone needs depth, man. It's it's like these dudes at least they need, and McBride's a good start, right? But that's just one guy. You need a couple more, like Ray said. When that bar goes fully on E, hey man, the only thing that can fully replenish it is the thing you can't afford because in the playoff series, can't take a week off. I mean, now if you get sent home, yeah, the bar can replenish you. Got time for that to happen.
Galveston.
Heading to Galveston. All right, on to the West. We got Thunder Mavs, which was a fun game that ended fun end of the game last night. We saw the Mavs kind of just fall apart. I, if anybody out of the two teams, I think we all expected maybe the Thunder to fall apart in the game versus the Mavs. That wasn't the case. Shout out to the young Thunder. Shea put on a mid-range clinic down the stretch that game last night. It's not dead. It's just if you're nice enough, it's a weapon. How about that? It's 2-2. Ray, we'll start with you.
Um, I find it interesting the commentary or lack thereof around how Luka's been performing. Um, especially the last game. Be perfectly honest, he tricked one off. And with and the way Kyrie's been playing, he probably needs to be the decision maker at this point, man, because he's been distributing the ball very well and getting guys good looks and scoring when needed. And he's been playing well defensively. And the series is probably not tied if he's not doing what he's doing. I know we talked about the Thunder having to play defense, but Mavs got to play defense too. And OKC is going right back at him. SGA is a problem, man. It's no other way to put that. And they've been doing well defensively, trying to negate Dallas's size advantage. They've been throwing a lot of different looks at them. People are getting gritty and getting in the mud to rebound and battle on the inside. And I mean it pays dividends. So yeah, man, this one is interesting. Like, we knew the Thunder, they were the number one seed, but they're a young, inexperienced team, and that matters. I thought Dallas had a poise to kind of get them over the edge, but man, OKC is matching them in every way, and now it's 2-2, and they got two of the next possible three at home. So, I mean, they're in a pretty good spot, man. They just stay the course and keep doing what they're doing. They might be able to pull this out. Unless Luka finds some of that magic he's had before. But right now he just he looks tired, to be perfectly honest. And I know a lot has been made of his conditioning in recent years, and I don't know, maybe we're seeing a little bit of that here, but yeah, man, this has been a fun series to watch. Guys have been throwing haymakers, and the other teams have been responding. I selfishly want 7, but if a team decides to just win the next 2, hey man, it is what it is.
Can't get mad at that. Selfishly 1-7. So what's funny? You talk about the conditioning. Everyone's been laughing and making fun of Lou Dort about how overly aggressive and physical he is. Right. Last night might have been an example of it taking its toll. Like y'all got jokes, but those are the most annoying types of people, regardless of sport, regardless of the sport you're playing. The ones that just don't go anywhere, and you talk about the energy meter that stays on full, they just always touching and bothering and messing with you. Man, Lou Dort's annoying as hell to watch. I can only imagine how annoying he is, like to deal with. But Octavia,
Yeah. This series, well, I won't even say just this series. The West series are the ones that got my head just like going back and forth, like what is going on. Just like Ray said, you expect the Mavericks to be the more poised team to with more, veteran leadership on the team. Again, the Thunder is the youngest team, average team in the league. I think it was 23.8 years of age. So you expect, the Lucas and the Kyries, the Tim Hardaway Juniors. I mean, that Dante Exum, even I don't think he's playing much, but just the veterans that they have in that building, you would expect them to be able to handle those close games a lot better. And them just, like Ray also said, tricking it off at the end of the game just isn't it. I think I heard a stat where they said in the last 7 minutes of the fourth quarter, Luka and Kyrie combined for 1 point. That can't happen at all. And I think they said the 1 point was the one free throw that Doncic made, but he missed the other. So it's like I don't know what's going on. And what's crazy to me is I feel like every year because of Doncic, and I'll say last year because of Doncic and Kyrie, even though he wasn't there all year last year. But I feel like we give the Mavericks so many opportunities to prove us right, and they always prove us wrong. I feel like every year we're like, oh, they got the pieces to do it. They should be able to compete, and I feel like something always gets in the way as it gets closer and closer to that time. It's kind of similar, but not the same as kind of with Boston. Boston trying to get over the hump to get a finals win. They've been to the finals. But I feel like the Mavericks every year it's just like, you're so close to doing something that we think, even if you want to go back to the year where Jalen Brunson was there. Like they've had a lot of opportunities. Go back when Kristaps Porzingis was there. They've had a lot of good players come in and out of that franchise and out of that team. So it's to me a little bit disheartening that I feel like we have this conversation about the Mavericks every year. And in this situation, after getting out of the first round over what we would have assumed would have been a very, very tough first round, which it was competitive for, a couple games against the Clippers. But coming into this next one, knowing you have an opportunity to get to the Western Conference Finals, you would think that in the last, 7 minutes of the fourth quarter of a tight game where you could go up 3-1, Doncic and Kyrie's going to take over. So I was a little bit surprised that didn't happen. I definitely agree with, Doncic and his stamina. It's been a thing, and I feel like we don't talk about it enough until situations like this pop up, and it's glaring that that's a thing. Also, don't get me wrong, I know he's nursing some injuries. I think he's even come out and said multiple times, like, I feel terrible. Like, I feel like my body is falling apart, but it's the playoffs. Everybody feels terrible, and everybody feels like their body's falling apart. So that can't just be the excuse. So, I mean, I'm interested to see, what happens going back. But like you said, the Thunder and Oklahoma City has been itching for this for years. Ever since the breakup of the KD and James Harden and the Russell Westbrook, they've been itching for this. So that arena is going to be live. So that home court advantage is going to come in handy for a young team like that to not be on the road and to be in the comfort of their own home, knowing that, hey, we can get this done soon. So, and like you said, Shay is just going to be Shay. Both of the Jalen Williams, all these people named Jalen in the world is just crazy. Lou Dort, and I mean, don't forget, I mean, Chet Holmgren is holding his own, even with a more thinner frame than the bigs for Dallas. So this one is also kind of going to give me the thought process behind like the Pacers and the Knicks game. Like whoever wins this next game, I'm kind of leaning towards them. I think there's a saying that, in a 2-2 series, whoever wins game 5, there's a high percentage that they win the series. So both of these game 5s for both of those teams are going to be very pivotal, well, for them and for the other series in the West as well.
All right, well, we'll close things out with doing NBA playoffs. Talking about the Nuggets and Timberwolves. Octavia, your thoughts on this one, and Ray, let you finish this segment up.
I think the Nuggets was like, y'all must have forgot who we are. I think that's what they were thinking about when these games got to Minnesota. I think Jokic was like, I think y'all forgot who I am. Everybody left the Nuggets for dead. They were ready for filth after those first 2 games, as they should have been, because they did not play well. The Timberwolves were having their way with them. So they deserved every criticism that they got. But the last 2 games that they've played, it shows that we're a champion. We've been here before. We know how to, ride the ups and downs of a series and, do what we got to do when we need to. To come out of Minnesota 2-2 and to get back home and to get your home court back was huge. And just in the fashion that they did it as well. I mean, Aaron Gordon, who thought we'd be talking? I mean, don't get me wrong, Aaron Gordon is a great player, and I feel like Aaron Gordon has been a great player for that franchise since he's gotten there, because he's been asked to do a lot more than what he's previously had to do before he got to Denver. When he first got to Denver, Murray was hurt a lot of the time, so he was in the spotlight as trying to be Robin to Jokic and, trying to support a lot also with Michael Porter Jr., who had a lot of back injuries as well when Aaron Gordon first got there. So, he's been, I think a lot of the adjustments that Michael Malone has made has helped them. We saw in the first 2 games how Jamal Murray couldn't get an inch of air with Nickeil Alexander and Jaden McDaniels. So having Aaron Gordon bring the ball up was a nice little switch up in this, and it seemed to pay dividends to allow Jamal Murray to, get to the ball when he can and not have to worry about getting the ball up the court with somebody just like draped all over him. Cat didn't play too well in these last couple of games. I expect more from him. Anthony Edwards is going to give you everything he got every single time. I don't have any qualms about anything that he's done in this series at all. He just can't do it alone. He's going to need his teammates to come with him. And I think, with the type of player that Ant is, I think that he's up for the challenge. I think he's up for bringing his teammates along by any means necessary. But they got to be locked in with them as well, knowing that they're playing against the defending champions. They're defending champions for a reason. And they're not just going to let you take it. Not just going to let you have it. You're going to have to literally go in there and step on their necks and get them out of there. Like we always say, you got to kill them and kill them again and make sure they did. And then shoot them one more time just for posterity and make sure all right, they gone. You can't play around with them, as we've seen in these last 2. So right now, I think the Nuggets are on a good momentum swing, getting back home. I feel like they probably have a lot more pep in their step after these last 2 games. So again, it's going to be a pivotal game 5. If the Nuggets are able to pull it out and as easily as they were able to go to Minnesota and get those 2 games, they wouldn't have a problem getting it in game 6 either. So whoever wins game 5, it's going to be a huge setup to a game 6.
Right.
Yeah, man. Minnesota got to get this next game. Like Octavia said, all the momentum has swung in the opposite direction at this point. And and shout out to Denver for bouncing back. Those first two games, they were just flustered. I don't think they were prepared for, how well Minnesota was able to defend them. They that's probably the best defense I've seen played against them since they started to ascend as one of the premier teams in the league. And I also think Minnesota kind of got away from the things that were bringing them success in the first two games. That little wrinkle with multiple guys bringing the ball up. Yeah, that alleviated some of the pressure off Murray, but I think they kind of got a little undisciplined in the way they were guarding Jokic. The first two games, they were just letting people, leaving people there one-on-one to deal with them, because if you try to help or double, he's going to find the open man. And I saw a lot more of that in the last two games, and he just picked him apart. I'd much rather try to have Jokic score 50 going one-on-one than, being able to do what he does and find his teammates and get them more involved in the game, because then you got to worry about five people. I'd much rather him get 50 than, have 20 and 20 assists. I'll take my chances with that. But yeah, they just got to get back to what was bringing them success. And I mean, I know it goes against conventional wisdom. If you see your man in a disadvantageous position, it's natural to help, but you got to remember who you're playing against, because if you help, just go ahead and count the 2 points, because somebody's going to cut and he's going to pass the ball and you're not even going to realize somebody's behind you and they're going to get an easy layup. So yeah, they got to get back to the basics, man. Anthony Edwards, I think, I like what I've been seeing from him, not just playing wise, but, and the things he's been saying and the way he's leading that team. I think he's going to have them ready. But it's just a matter of being able to execute. You can say whatever you want in pregame, but once you get in between them lines, like that's a whole different level of focus and concentration, man. They're just going to have to remember what they were able to do in the first two games to get them those wins, and they were decisive wins. So if they can get back to any shade of that, then I feel good about them for the rest of the series. But if things keep going the way they're going, then you got to get a nod to Denver, especially with them with them getting home court advantage back. But yeah, this is one of those games where we really get to see what Minnesota's made of.
Sure. And once again, like I said last week, we don't know who we're going to be talking about next week. It could be multiple game sevens for all we know, or folks might actually get a rest leading into the conference finals. But we got our first break coming up. On the other side of the break, we'll hear from Cardell. Is at the ESA for the Mystic season opener against New York Liberty. Then after that, we'll talk a little WNBA opening week. On the other side of that break, again, you're watching the Focus TV. We shall return shortly. Cardell's at the ESA for the season opener. We saw the Liberty top the Mystics 85-80. Cardell, we'll start with you. What do you see tonight as Washington opens the season on one?
Well, I mean, they came out competitive. They competed throughout the game. For those that may not know, this is the runner-ups from last season from the WNBA finals. So I felt like it would be a good gauge to kind of see, even though it's early, to see what type of team the Mystics will be. And you can see, like I said, I kind of figured they're hanging their hat more on the defensive end and letting that dictate the offense a little bit more than in years past where they led with their offense or whatnot. With losses, it wasn't so much as what the Liberty did, it's what the Mystics did, especially in that fourth quarter. The decision-making, the lazy passes, just careless, just basically just throwing lackadaisical passes and then, betting the Lady Hamilton John Quill and those ladies, they get in the passing lanes and they off to the races, and they got a lot of easy baskets in the fourth. And then, once those points started piling up, even though the game was still close, you just felt the Mystics kind of will under the pressure a little bit. You know what I mean? As the game went on, whereas the team that was in the finals last year was calm. You know what I'm saying? They just executed it down the stretch, even with some calls not going their way. I just feel like you saw the difference between a team that came into the season together and basically another team that's trying to figure out who they are mostly and figure out a lot of players on their team. They got a lot of new players, man. So with that being said, man, the little things cost them the game because that was a winnable game. This would have been a big win to start the season, and they're just little things, missing layups. 24-second clock violations where it's like y'all know what the shot clock is coming out at the timeout and y'all not getting a shot on. Just uncharacteristic things that we are not used to seeing from a more veteran-led Mystics team. I don't think people understand the Mystics got about 7 players and between their rookie first couple years, like rookie to 3 years in that range. You know what I'm saying? So they gonna have to grow up fast, man. You know what I mean? There was some good performances. I love what Ariel Atkins did. Obviously, I think she's gonna have to continue this pace moving forward. I love what the Saints got going late, but I love her all around impact. She almost finished with a triple double, 14, 10 to 7. 2 steals. She woke up in the fourth quarter, got aggressive, and she was kind of the player that kept them close. But they need more from their bench, and they need more smart plays. It was just too many, especially during winning time, which was the fourth quarter. New York has no business outscoring them 26-13 in the fourth when you're up. And after the run they had over the second and third quarters where they had the game in their hand, and then New York just it's not even just New York. New York did what they did. They didn't do nothing spectacular. The Mystics just helped them. They just helped them beat them. And that's the difference between a team that's trying to get back to the championship and a team trying to find themselves. And that's what you saw tonight.
All right, welcome back to the Focus TV. As I mentioned, WNBA opening week. It's great to see everybody so excited about this. That said, I got to ask you guys what y'all think, though. Fun week ahead. It's crazy. I seen like 4 Disney Plus updates on my phone talking about the WNBA, which is amazing because usually I only get it for shows that I watch over there. But that's great. This is what we got this first week, man. Just want to ask y'all, one, just your overall excitement, anything specifically you're looking for, or it could simply be, hey, we just want to sit back and watch good hoops. That is also an acceptable answer here. So Ray, we'll start with you then, Octavia.
Yeah, none of these matchups are really on opening day. I mean, yeah, nothing really sticks out. I do just want to see what everybody looks like coming out the gate. But yeah, man, it's definitely exciting to see, some palpable buzz around the WNBA. The league's definitely been growing over the last couple of years, but it's kind of in hyperdrive now, which is is good for the ladies to to finally get some much due recognition. But yeah, this is a big year for the league, man. It's a lot of new players people are looking forward to see. I think with a lot of new fans, they want to see just how real the WNBA is. I'll continue to say it, man. It's the hardest pro league to succeed in the country. I don't think I'm out of bounds by saying that. It's 12 teams. It's a miracle if you make a roster, pretty much. So yeah, man. I'm definitely just looking forward to watch some high quality basketball. Always going to be vested in what the Mystics do. They're kind of entering a new phase in their franchise. Some faces that have been here for a while aren't here anymore. So it's just excited to see what direction they take. And yeah, man. And of course the Aces, they're on a historic pace here, and it doesn't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. So definitely excited to see how they progress through the season. They have an opportunity to do something only one WNBA team's done before. I know it's only day one, but I mean, they got to be the odds-on favorite at this point. I think the only thing that can stop them is health. And definitely we'll want to see them get through the season as healthy as possible, so they can have a chance to defend the championship. But yeah, man, I'm just looking forward to a great season.
Octavia.
Yeah, I know we talk about 12 teams, and I know this is the years out, but I'm excited that the WNBA is going to be expanding with the announcement of a team in Toronto, and then they actually came out with the name of the team that's going to be akin to the Golden State Warriors. I don't know how much I like it, the Valkyries. I feel like they might want to tweak that, but neither here nor there. I'm glad that they're expanding the league, which is going to give more players opportunities to play at a professional level. So I'm so excited to see that in the next coming years. But yeah, I'm just really excited. Like you said, Wilson, it's an acceptable answer. I'm just excited to see some ball. I love this time of year. I feel like as sports fans, we're getting spoiled right now with, we got the schedule release for the NFL coming out tomorrow. We got NBA playoffs. We got the WNBA starting. I mean, if you watch hockey, the hockey Stanley Cup finals are going crazy as well. And then, of course, we get the Olympics this summer. So I'm just excited that there's so many sports going on. But as far as for the WNBA, I'm a Mystics girl by heart. It's always going to be them. I'm just excited to see how that's going to shake out. Like also stated, it's a lot of new faces that are playing for the Mystics this year. We've lost, some of the familiar faces that we've seen over the last couple of years, and especially from that title run. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see Shakira coming back fully healthy. She's one of my favorite players to watch. So I'm excited that. The buck, it starts and ends in Las Vegas. It is what it is. I don't want to hear anybody else talking about anything else when it comes to the W. I know we have a lot of new fans. Welcome. Just sit down, be quiet, and just watch. Because I can't hold my tongue. I'm sorry. Y'all, I know how great Caitlin Clark is, but I am so tired of it. I'm tired of it. Okay. I'm tired, and the season has just started. Okay. I appreciate her greatness. She's a great player, like we talked about earlier before we came on. We've seen her all through college. We know what it is. Welcome to you guys that have just arrived. I am tired. But I know it's going to be the storyline. Of course, you want to see the rookies and how they're going to fare in this league, because I think a lot of our new fans are not do not know what these rookies have really gotten themselves into. So I'm excited to see all of the matchups. I'm just super excited for the league to start.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm just ready to sit back and enjoy it. And I've been tired, so I'm with you on that. Let's just sit back and see what happens, everybody. And anything that's happened or that happens over the course of some of these talented young ladies' rookie seasons, they're not like big. They shouldn't be grand indictments against anything. Just it's a rookie year, and like Ray said, it's tough as hell in that league to be productive in year one. Like there's some great players who year one is like, what the hell was that? Then year 2 and 3, like, oh, she's amazing. But year one, man, she was fighting for her life. And it happens. Oh, all right. We're getting into a little bit of rapid fire before we get out of where do I want to start? All right, sorry here, man. I'm sorry. And it's not to be funny or anything. This is not to make light of this gentleman right here. Oh, NFL schedule coming out soon. Like I said, you mentioned, we saw Antoine Winfield get a bunch of money the other day. Well deserved. Safety market heating up. But the quarterback market, everyone always talks about the top end quarterbacks. Well, Jared Goff former number one pick. Clearly, the Rams did him a little kind of dirty. They weren't happy with what he was doing. They was like, we want to upgrade. Um, you know, Matt Stafford helped lead them to a chip, and Golf got discarded, threw in the trash to the Detroit Lions, but he was a big part of the Lions' resurgence too. And then they paid him. Lord, did they pay him? All right, 4 years, 212 million, 170 guaranteed. So his age is not Kirk Cousins money, but boy, y'all see the gap closing with in terms of at least with the quarterback money a little bit, with the guarantees versus the big monopoly number. It's interesting. What do y'all think? Both is just the going rate of quarterbacks right now, and also Jared Goff just wants to be guaranteed, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think like when Kirk Cousins gets a deal like he got, it kind of sets the market, man. To be perfectly honest, like I don't think everybody can try to negotiate to get what those top end guys get, but you can definitely walk into the office and say, "Hey, man, it's Kirk Cousins, bro." Like, so yeah, that I think that definitely helped his case. But the most important thing is he produced on the field, and it's good to see teams starting to take care of guys that brought them success. And I think that just shows a commitment to to going through the process. You kind of make incremental improvements and do what you can to keep the guys with you that got you there. You go in there and try to shortchange people, or play games, and they go somewhere else, and now you're back at square one. So yeah, man. Glad he was able to bounce back from from his departure from the Rams, and find himself in another good situation, and get some money.
Octavia, your thoughts on Mr. 170 million guaranteed Jared Goff?
Mr. 170 million, the highest paid Lion player ever, which is wild. I mean, with Matthew Stafford, granted, we know they lost, but they love Matthew Stafford. So here we
Not
go.
170 mil much.
They ain't love him that much. But yeah, like it's literally it's a Cinderella story for him to a certain extent. Coming from being the number one overall draft pick, going to the Rams, leading them to a Super Bowl. And of course, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but leading them there and then kind of just getting discarded away because they just didn't think that they would be able to win with him. And for him to end up in Detroit, of all places, where we know how void they were of football knowledge for a long time, to be able to kind of turn the team around the way he has assisted, because of course it wasn't just him. We know him, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Penei Sewell. I mean, they got a lot of weapons out there in Detroit. And I'm always a proponent of saying that, you can't fault a player for having good players around them. It's not, that's what a team is supposed to do. So when people say, well, I mean, he has Amon-Ra St. Brown, he got, Jameson Williams, he's got, what was the running back that won me so many fantasy games? His little self. They got a good little core that they got going on there. Aiden Hutchinson on the defensive side as well. So I think this is the quarterback market. It's a little scary just to think because of the ones that are going to come after him that are going to be due money as well. If, like you said, if Kirk Cousins gets this type of money, Jared Goff gets this type of money, I mean, Jesus Christ. The ones that are coming up soon, I mean, granted, we know something like Justin Herbert hasn't done much, but they're going to drop a bag on him too, if they haven't already. I can't remember, but it's the going rate. I think this situation just gives me more questions about, of course, what everybody's thinking is what's going to happen with Dak Prescott. Because if Jared Goff gets that, I know there's going to be a good argument that Dak should be there, if not higher as well. So these contracts just lead to more and more money. But again, I applaud these franchises for investing in the players that have helped them get where they are and helping them get to where they want to be. Especially as we know, football is a dangerous sport. One wrong hit, one wrong move that happens could end your career in a flash of an eye. And they got to get their money when they can. So I will never hate on somebody for getting the money that they got. You go out there and get everything that you possibly can. So congratulations to them. But with the money comes great responsibility as well. Again, with all the pieces that are around him and all the money that he's making, they got to contend for that period of time. And as quick as we thought the NFC North was going to go down, NFC North is looking kind of interesting. You know, you got the Bears doing some good things out there. You know, they got Caleb Williams, Romeo, I can't say his last name, but him.
Dunze.
Dunze, there we go. Him, I mean, we know Keenan Allen out there. Like they're doing some things out there. JJ McCarthy going to the Minnesota Vikings, who seems to be in a good fit, you know, because they still got Jordan Addison and of course Justin Jefferson. And they also signed Aaron Jones, I believe, is a running back. One of them running backs from Green Bay. I can't remember which one it was. So they're in a good position as well. So the NFC, and of course, you can't forget about Green Bay. I mean, Jordan Love he's looking to be in the market for a big contract as well, even after one season. So him, you know, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson out there. It's gonna be a dogfight in the NFC North now. So he's got to continue, you know, what they started these last couple of years. Getting so close this year definitely had to suck for them because they were in a great position in order to get where they wanted to be. So to come that close, they're going to expect us as fans, us as media, us as anybody that's watching the sport is going to expect for you guys to do that again, if not more. So the pressure's on, especially when it comes with the dollar bill. So I'm just excited to see it. I can't wait for the season start.
All right. Last question, really quick. They got the second pick, y'all. What should they do with it? Just make it real quick, man. Twitter been asking me questions all year long on Wizards Outlook. We finally here, and they're at war again. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm sure we'll get into it on Wizards Outlook at some point. But I'll tell you, what should they do with the second overall pick? And then Ray.
I'm just sad that they didn't get the number one pick. The Wizards been bad for so long. They deserved it. Jesus Christ. I was like, come on, they're so close. But top two pick is a great. I'll be honest, I don't know. I haven't looked into it enough to see. But they need to take
a position. Or you can choose a position, either or.
Because like it hurts my heart to watch Wizards games, so I try not to. I just listen to you guys because it was really that bad. I was like, I cannot watch this. Not for fun, not for sport. Like I couldn't do it. It sounds like they need everything. But I don't know. I'm not 100% sure where they are on point guards. I'm not sure how great this class coming out is going to be as well. But I do know whatever they do, they need to make a very logical and smart decision. We've seen the Wizards with top picks before, Kwame Brown, and situations have not gone well. So I just need them to take this very, very seriously, and do a lot. I mean, we need to send Cardell down there as a scout to help them out, so he can give them the right answer. Because whatever Cardell says is the scout, that's what they should do. That's gonna be my answer.
All right, Ray.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying it all year on Wizards Outlook. Every time this question comes up, a legit big or point guard.
Okay.
If they draft the wing, I'm going to set the building on fire. that's just what it is, man. But no, seriously, yeah, to be perfectly honest, I'd get Klingman from UConn. I mean, 7'2" is 7'2".
Mhm.
We haven't had that type of size here in a while. And we know he's a good rim protector. He's going to rebound. That adds another dynamic to their defense. He's not the athlete that Gaff was, but I mean, he's a little bulkier and he can take up a little more space down there. So yeah, I think, thinking about it logically, that's the direction I go in. A lot of times when people are picking in this situation, they want to go, best available. The Wizards aren't in a position to draft a player like that because it's going to be that guy needs to come in and be Michael Jordan immediately. That's not the move for these guys, man. They got to make strategic decisions and continue to build. Like they have some pieces. They just need to plug things in where they're needed to to continue to make positive strides. And I have full faith in this new management team. I think they've been making solid moves. I would like to see at some point Brian Keefe announced as the head coach. I think coming down the stretch he did a great job, and that's that's a big factor in lead into their success as well, is getting the right person in that position. I don't think at this point flipping the staff would help. Just get a guy in there that they're familiar with. Get a solid pick right here that's going to be able to contribute in areas that you need, and just keep it pushing, man. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, man, real simple. I said this, staying on it again. Klingen, Castle. It's really simple. And went to the same school. I don't care. You need meeny miny mo. You need help at both the 1 and the 5. Castle might be the best perimeter defender in this draft, and Lord knows you need somebody at the point of attack with all these big, strong guards out here in these streets. And the fact that you don't have any, or you can keep your little guards and, like Ray said, just put a wall at the back end. Just make it simple, man. Just make it simple. Make it very, very simple. I want to tune in this week, man. We truly appreciate y'all. Can't wait to talk to y'all next week. Don't forget to watch the Focus TV every Wednesday as early as 9 a.m. on our Roku channel. If you got a Roku television device, all you have to do is go to the search box, type in the Focus TV, double tap OK to add the channel, and then also get over to thefocustv.com and follow us on all your social media mediums because stuff happens there in a week. We'll see y'all soon.